maximum wattage? 25 watts.
Well, maximum in line with the Ally X.
Yes.
Yeah. We haven't seen the true maximum because the Z2E is capable of 35 watts.
Yeah.
So you're going to actually see way more performance gain
That's a really interesting point
than
that's not
we're
talked
going to
about
be
in that.
talking about. No. So people are looking at this now and feeling underwhelmed,
Yeah.
but he's only matched the current state of the maximum output on the Ally X. In theory, the Z2E is capable of 35 watts. Whether or not they'll enable
I
that,
was just going to say, have we seen if they're enabling it on the
well,
MSI?
the only one on the planet is ETAI Prime that's got one. So I don't know. No one's shown it off.
They're bound to enable that when you're plugged in.
But obviously, if you had another 10 watts of power, you're going to get quite a bit more performance.
Yeah.
But then you're going to nail the battery.
At 25 watts, the difference we're seeing in performance is relatively negligible.
Yeah, it's like up to 10%.
Which it's really hard to try and play both sides of this, trying to be balanced. Because 10% when you're talking about relatively low performance to start with
Yes.
is a lot.
Yeah, people were like blowing their minds over Steam Deck to Steam Deck OLED with like 3 FPS more.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Which, in terms of 30 FPS, that's a 10% increase.
I mean,
Do you know what I mean?
I've got some of the numbers in front of me. At 25 watts, you're talking about like, what is 10% in that? 25 watts, here you go. From at 1080p, 42 to 46.
Yeah.
FPS average, which is significant. I don't know.
Pretty much 10%.
Yeah. And the thing is, I say when you're dealing with low performance, when you're at that lower end, those jumps are massively noticeable.
Yeah. I mean, arguably, these have got VRR screens, so is it
Fair
really
point, fair
like,
point.
does that matter too much? Probably not. But if you're pushing a game at... It's difficult, isn't it? Because if you're at 30, going to 33 ain't going to do too much, but it might save it, like if you can handle that. But if you're at 60 and you're going to 66, that then becomes, more like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it gets really interesting when we knock it down to 17 watts.
Yeah.
And this feels like this is where this new APU is actually making sense, and it's in how it's dealing with efficiencies.
And also, before we talk about the numbers, we always knew that the Z2 chips were going to be targeting efficiency.
Yeah.
When AMD announced this back in January, which can you believe was like half a year ago?
I know, it's kind of mad, isn't it?
So we've still not even seen these chips yet, and they were announced like over half a year ago. These chips were touted for better efficiency because that's what everyone wanted. Because everyone's issue with handhelds at the time was battery sucks. Asus came out and went, we'll just put a massive 80 watt hour in there to get around it. But really, everyone was effectively saying they wanted more efficiency. And AMD said, here we go, we've got that. So these numbers make a lot of sense.
Yeah, at 17 watts, you're now, same game, obviously Cyberpunk benchmark
Crisis
mode.
Yeah.
You're going from 35 FPS average up to 45 FPS average.
That's big.
That's a huge step. And that's at that bracket where it's really important. When you're going from the 30s to the 40s, that's like a really noticeable smoothing out of the gameplay.
Oh, huge.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I would take 45 FPS over 30 any day.
Yeah, it's such a monumental difference.
Massive change there.
Arguably a bigger difference than if you went from 45 to like 60.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If
So-
you went from 30 to 45
Yeah.
versus 45 to 60, 45 to 60 is pretty much the same. Like, you'll be perceiving that very similarly, whereas going from 30 to 45 feels like you're going from 30 to 60.
Yeah, the smoothing out is so huge.
Because it, like, a lot of people aim for that like 40 FPS sweet spot, because, well, with a 120 screen, it divides perfectly and stuff. Obviously, we got VRR at play here, so it also helps, and you'll be within that bracket, because generally it's 40 to 120 for the VRR window, and then LFC below that. But yeah, I totally agree with you. I would take 45 any day over 30.
Yeah, so basically we're seeing the biggest gains in the performance at the lower
The
wattages.
17 watt side, and that's almost 30% increase.
Yeah, it's huge.
I haven't actually done the maths, but it's probably like 27%.
There's a bunch of question marks because a lot of people will just get excited about the highest wattage, highest performance, and they'll see that negligible difference, like 10% difference, and be like, "Oh, it's not really worth it."
Yeah.
There's a bunch of question marks here. Like, how much of that negligible difference at the bleeding edge is just because this is a brand new chip, drivers aren't optimized yet.
Yeah, that's a big
We haven't had
one.
obviously no patches, no updates to this at all yet. How much of it is it that?
Well, I think that's a big part ECA Prime himself said that he literally had a friend in China send him a model.
Yeah.
So this is straight out of factory. He wouldn't been able to upgrade. There won't be any drivers yet. You know, it will just be the first driver, whatever they got given, whatever. Now, we know that driver support is huge in this day and age. The Z1E got gains after its launch just from driver updates, most notably the 9070 XT graphics card.
Literally downloads frames.
It started off at being overall 3% worse than the 5070 Ti.
Yeah.
After driver upgrades, it's now 3% faster than the 5070 Ti. So that's a 6% increase, from -3 to +3.
Yeah.
And when you look at game specific, if you take away that overarching, I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Hardware Unboxed that did that test, right? And showed this. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But there were some games that got like huge performance increases, like massive. There's some that didn't change at all, and that's what brought the numbers down, like as a whole. But some games were getting like 50 FPS more from a driver, like massive gains, like unreal. I've got that card. It's fantastic. But that just goes to show, A, that's an AMD card.
Yeah.
And B, what can be done with a driver. Like you said, you can literally download FPS.
The other kind of first-hand experiences, you've seen how much it's improved with the Z1E over the time the LIX has been
Absolutely,
around.
yeah. And can we all take into consideration as well, I'm pretty sure the ETA Prime results here, did I just say that again? I didn't even mean to. ETA Prime results here were all raster. So that there's no upscaling on that.
Yeah.
You throw on FSR 3, add some frame gen, you're going to be at like 120. You're going to be at like 100 FPS. If you don't want frame gen, obviously you're going to be less, but you're going to see much higher results than like 30 FPS.
Yeah.
But this is just no upscaling. This is just raw dog in it just to see what the thing's capable of. But that 17 watts is definitely where
they're aiming at.
Yeah.
I think it's not just drivers. That's just they're aiming at efficiencies.
Yeah.
And NVIDIA have showed us with the Switch 2 what you can do at super low wattages.
Absolutely. The thing runs at like 10 watts handheld and plays Cyberpunk at 30 FPS.
It's wild.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Hopefully you've enjoyed that clip from our main podcast.
If you didn't enjoy it, you should click on the video between our faces to watch the full one to make sure you didn't enjoy it.
Yes.